In the world of marketing, there are typically three things that will cause failure in marketing or not even starting at all, whether it comes to social media stuff, podcasting, sending out direct mail pieces, SEO, you name it. Anything in marketing, it's always going to be centered around these three things. So if you're a business owner that's running any type of marketing, especially online marketing, I'm going to be starting a three-part series, this being the first one of the three-part series, on why marketing fails or doesn't get started up in any way, shape, or form, whether we're talking about podcasting, whether we're talking about social media content, SEO, web development, branding, whatever it is, anything that has to do with marketing. I've been in the marketing space for over 13 years now. I have seen everything under the sun when it comes to failure in marketing, expectations not getting met, wrong people in the wrong seats, you hire somebody, they don't meet expectations, that sort of thing. And there's always three core things, three root problems where this circles back around to. So again, this is going to be a three-part series. First one I'm going to talk about today is personnel. The second one is actually expectations. The third one is direction. So follow the next two episodes as I release those over the course of the next couple of weeks, and you'll be able to, go over those as well. And I do believe firmly that these are actually three of the most vital things that you have to be on the lookout for. So I'm going to bring to your attention what the issues are and then how to solve them. So first one is personnel. Let's dig in. One of the things that I'll bring up consistently throughout these three videos is that all three of these can encompass each other. So when it comes to personnel, it can tie into expectations, it can tie into direction, and vice versa for all the other ones. So when we talk about personnel, typically this is obviously going to be the people that are on your media team, the people on your marketing team. If you're hiring a videographer, if you have a marketing director on your team, I'm going to tell you kind of how to structure it and the proper way to actually delegate these things. The other thing that a lot of people don't think about is if you're a business owner, and let's say, I deal with this all the time where I'll have people come to me and say, I just can't stay consistent with my content. I want to put out a podcast episode every single week, but I just can't stay consistent with it. And I'll ask them okay, well, how's the management look? Who do you have editing the podcast, publishing it? And they say, oh, it's just me. I'm the one that's editing it. I'm the one that's publishing it. And then they can't stay consistent with it. So a lot of times the personnel issue is you. It's actually you. You are the problem. And this happens a lot in just anything in business, right? Maybe we're running transactions. Maybe we're managing financials. Maybe we're managing the wrong KPIs, just doing the wrong things in our business. That can affect the things that we do in our marketing as well. So delegating properly those items is essential. I was on a check-in call today with a client of mine that we've had working with them for 3+ years now. Amazing clients. And the guy that I work with, so we had his team on, and the CEO, we were talking about replying to Facebook messages and that sort of thing. And he's like, well, how do I do that? He's just kind of an old head, right? What we would call. And there's no disrespectfulness in that at all. He's an amazing real estate investor, just does an amazing job and has a great coaching program. But that is just not in his wheelhouse. He's not entirely sure how to manage that kind of stuff. So we had to walk him through that. And then I had to walk him through his assistant managing his messages and that sort of thing. So he was actually the bottleneck. And we found a lot of really good direct messages that were in his inbox that he hadn't replied to because he just didn't really realize that they were there because he's not actively on Facebook and Instagram using it like that. So we had to address that personnel problem because, me and my team, we don't manage direct messages. So we had to have somebody on his team that did that because they're using his voice, they're in his, accounts and that sort of thing. So that was important for us to flush out that information. So what I find a lot of times is the symptoms are not necessarily anything that's hidden. It's is it you? Are you the problem? Now, a lot of times too, I talk about maybe you hire a videographer and you're like, I want to have a videographer follow me around, do it Gary Vaynerchuk style and that sort of thing. A lot of times that can be decent, but why not start with yourself first? I think that marketing goes in phases. It's bootstrapping, it's delegating, and then it's delegating kind of like freelancing, and then it's in-house. The stage 2 can also be you have an agency doing it. I consider myself and my services a stage 2 type marketing management. So we have people that will come to us that are doing all their content and podcasting themselves. We take it on. Then at some point, maybe they get big enough where they actually have to bring it in-house and they manage it themselves. That's kind of the process, and that's all the personnel levels, right? And so a lot of that is awareness on discovering where you're at in the process. If you're just beginning, no, it's not a smart idea for you to go out and hire a videographer and spend, $3,000 to $5,000 a month on a videographer following you around. maybe you can't put out that much content. Maybe you're just going to be like talking to, blank screens and white noise in the social media algorithm. You need to build up to that. So start with, your cell phone and going out to, properties and doing walkthroughs and that sort of thing, or sitting in front of the camera and actually recording yourself. Do it simply. Like, everybody knows how to use an iPhone camera. It's very simple. You can get a lav mic that plugs into your microphone for $30 on Amazon or whatever. Start there. We all have to start at a certain level. Then from there, you have to have enough self-awareness to know when to actually go to the next level, which is, delegating a little bit. And that's obviously like, is it taking up too much time? But is it worth it, right? Is it making money? Is it actually something that's going to generate leads for us? That's when you can decide, like, okay, I can delegate this now and, bring forth a budget and that sort of thing. So I do advise, typically when I work with people, I advise that I have one point of contact that I work with on somebody's team, typically going to be a marketing director, somebody that's pulling all the strings, somebody that's managing everything. Maybe I'm not the only service provider they're working with. Maybe they're working with a web developer. Maybe they're working with a funnel builder. And so that marketing director is managing all those people. That's the typical person that you would want to have. This could also be an executive assistant if you don't have a marketing person on your team. But if you are the business owner, you're the CEO, I advise you to not be the point person unless you are literally a one-man show and you can manage it, right? So that's the thing when it comes to media and marketing as well, is that you may not be the professional in this. So allow the professionals to kind of manage it. And I know, like, a lot of people have PTSD when it comes to working with agencies. Maybe they worked with a previous agency and it was a fail, and, they had all kinds of like this big blowout and that sort of thing. I get that. That happens. It's happened to me before. However, you have to go through the proper like leaps and the order of, communication, and understanding that person you're working with, you need to trust them and trust the process with them and not try to overstep. So that's important as well, as working with vendors, working with, freelancers or whatever it is. Make sure that you are investing the proper amount of confidence in them to do their thing, and you're not just, overstepping and trying to, reach in at all times. That's the worst type of client. I've never had a successful client that I've worked with that was that type of personality. And now I'm just in my career, being 6 years in the business, I have enough confidence to sniff that out when I'm talking to somebody that's interested in using my services. So I just tell them, no, I'm not for you. And then I don't do business with them, right? The other thing to think about is that you might have the right person that you're working with, but maybe they're in the wrong seat. This is a typical Good to Great, if you've ever read the book by Jim Collins, kind of analogy. So you have somebody, let's say, for example, you hire a videographer and you're like, you're going to be videoing all my content. You're going to be editing it, taking it, writing copy for it, and then publishing it on my platforms. Well, here's the thing is that you're going to discover is they're probably really, really good at video recording. They may be good at editing, but everything after that, typically, like, I've never met a videographer that could keep up with posting on a daily basis. If you do have somebody on your team that does that, they are a unicorn and you need to keep them at all costs. And if they're actually being held accountable and they're following instructions and doing what they're supposed to be doing. But that's why even on my team, I have those separated. So if I have a video person that's doing video with a client, that's all they're doing. If I have an editor that's only working on social media videos, I even have editors for only social media videos. I have editors for only core YouTube videos, and I have editors only for podcasting, because they're all different types of editing. So I have those expertises in alignment there. Then I have another department for copywriting and quality control. And then I have a whole nother department. They only post content. That's full-time, 5 days a week, full-time, sometimes on the weekends. And that's all they're doing is posting. So I think it's important to separate those things. My kind of analogy for this is, if you have a videographer, allow them to video, allow them to edit video. They're probably going to be decent at that. Then hand it off to maybe an executive assistant or an administrative assistant that can write copy for it and then post it for you. To me, what I would say is, if you're listening and you're the CEO or you're the head honcho, don't do the posting yourself. And I know it's going to save you some money. I understand that. But if you're doing the posting yourself, you will not be staying consistent, because you have a business to run. You're going to be running your business all day long. You're going to get in bed at 10 o'clock at night and you're going to think, oh, I forgot to post today, without your phone, and it's a second thought. You don't want to get into that habit, because then you fall off the wagon. Then you chalk it up and say, social media doesn't work and I'm not doing this anymore. And rinse and repeat for any other, if you're running, direct mail campaigns, if you're running billboards, if you're running TV ads, if you're doing anything, in the marketing field, that's normally the process that happens, is that you forget about it because you're running a business. You're not the marketer. You're not the expert and the person that can actually manage these things. And this is where we come to the delegation part. That's when you need to decide, okay, what do I delegate? Well, probably posting is going to be the first thing. I probably shouldn't be editing because I can't edit a video. So let's go hire a video editor on Upwork. Those are the things that you really need to be thinking about. So I know a lot of what I'm talking about is a lot of more in theory and examples that I'm giving, but this is stuff that people really need to be thinking about when it comes to personnel on your team. It really, truly does affect the momentum, the potential success that you get, and then just the potential overall that you could have on your podcast, your YouTube channel, your social media. If one person is the bottleneck, if you are the bottleneck, you need to eliminate that, delegate properly, and then move forward. And it's very important to make sure that you go in strides and not just look to, if you've never put a piece of content out before, if you've never published a podcast before, don't go and spend, 10 grand a month on a team that is in-house and is managing all this stuff for you, because you don't truly know what it takes to actually get to a successful level, which will bring us to the next point, which would be the expectation setting. A lot of times personnel doesn't have expectations set properly, and that could be the cause of failure, except for they didn't know what to expect in the first place because you didn't lay that out for them. So that'll bring us to the next video. That being said, I hope this did help somebody, and there's a lot of kind of getting the wheels turning, getting you to understand kind of the process of what it takes to manage personnel and where to go from here. So again, the next video that I'm going to be coming out with is about expectations, and we're going to get into that very thoroughly when it comes to expectations. This is normally the go-between of personnel and direction, because this is where we actually set the boundaries, the rules, the KPIs, the levels of here's where we're actually going and that sort of thing. Because without that set in place, you're not going to be able to actually create direction. You're not going to be able to create goals for your content, for your podcast, or whatever it is. We've got to make sure we set those expectations. And before that, we got to make sure we set our personnel properly in place. And we do that by getting out of the way and delegating properly and understanding and being aware of what we're good at, what we can do. And again, typically when I'm working with clients, I tell them I want you on video, creating the content, meaning being on camera, and then we do everything else after that. So if you have people that's on your team that are actually delegated to manage your content, edit your video, publish, that sort of thing, then it's very important to let them do it and you just focus on recording and crafting the content. So again, I know this wasn't a very tactical video, but it's something that definitely needs to be talked about and understood in your business and on your marketing journey. So without further ado, that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't already, make sure you have subscribed to my channel. Like this video, leave a comment below if this did help you, and if you have any further questions as well. And then make sure you are subscribed, because then my next video is going to be coming out. I have 2 more specifically on this series about expectations and then direction. These are the 3 reasons why marketing fails or actually doesn't get started. Personnel being the first one. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. See ya.